Hey Adam,
Sam Chopra, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully well, thank you. How are you?
Good, very good, thanks. Yeah, not too bad.
So, all set for a podcast with me?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's actually blue skies over here in the UK and a little bit breezy. But yeah, I'm tucked up in my little room, ready to chat with you and the guys here on the call. So it's good to see so many people here on the call and listening in. So yeah, hopefully we can
Abs-
provide some pearls of wisdom and a few nuggets of gold.
Absolutely, absolutely. Share some and get some from them as well. So it'll be a wonderful, as we say in Hindi, it's called jugal bandi. That means there's a discussion between two people or more, two or more people. And in our music, it is called jugalbandi, which means that there's the traditional drummist or the tabla player and the traditional guitar, which is the sitar player in India. And when they discuss with each other through their separate music, and they actually, the music instruments are talking to each other. So that's the kind of discussion we'll hopefully have. So looking
Absolutely. Yeah,
forward
let's go
to
for that.
it.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. So, Adam, I'm mindful of your time. I know you've got a hard stop also. So, you've been kind enough to displace a few other schedules because of this commitment. So, firstly, thank you very much for that. And I think we'll start this. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the real state of real estate. Go Exponential with Sam, and of course, Adam as my new guest. We had Felix Bravo as the CEO of EXP International last time, and now we have Adam, of course, and we'll give his detailed introduction. And after this, we have Wendy coming in, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of EXP in the next session. So, um, all the stalwarts of EXP, one by one, coming to talk to all of us and share their views on the global perspective as well as the micro India perspective, the Asia perspective as we go along. So, in let me uh, share with all of you that essentially Adam is the international expansion leader for not only the UK but of Europe and India as well. Um, Adam's a visionary who took EXP UK from literally zero to becoming the fastest growing agency in the region. And I believe it is the it is the largest estate agency in several counts in the UK. And he's, of course, now driving our international expansion markets. Um, Adam, why don't you start by telling us a little about your journey in real estate and your role at EXP and what excites you most about building markets globally?
Good. Well, the last question, at least you give me some time to think about that one while I talk. But yeah, background wise, I mean that's easy. So I started in estate agency, as we call it in the UK, or real estate in 1997, straight out of school. I didn't know what to do with life, and I didn't want to go to university. I was very driven by money, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm so excited about global actually is because I'm not driven by money anymore. That's not a thing anymore. I think being driven by money is something that happens when you're younger and you realize that money isn't everything as you get older, and it's actually being part of something bigger, being part of something exciting, helping to change people's lives and helping other people to be successful. That's kind of what drives me now, and that will probably help to answer your last question actually, is where I'm at now with things. But and in the UK, I wasn't particularly good at school. I was a smart kid, but I was one of those ones that didn't listen. I was laughing at the back of the class with the naughty kids, and I wasn't that naughty myself. I was actually quite a good boy, but I didn't apply myself. All of my reports said good, bright kid, but doesn't apply himself. That was what all my reports said. And so I left secondary school with very few qualifications, but I was an entrepreneur. I'd had businesses in when I was 13, 14, washing cars, mowing lawns, baking cakes. selling cans of Coke at the school gate, for a 20 pence markup or whatever. And so I had an entrepreneurial mind of wanting to create stuff and build stuff from the ground up. Um, so yeah, I knew I could do that, and it was all I only ever wanted to have a business. That's all I ever wanted to do, but I didn't know what to do in business, and so I fell into estate agency in '97. Um, and what you got to remember, there was no internet back then. There was no internet. It wasn't prolific around, in different businesses. And so we started off with pen and paper, and blackboards and chalk and all the kind of stuff we did in the UK in '97, and then this internet thing came along in 2001. That's when we kind of started adopting. It was 2000, 2001. I remember watching 9/11 on the internet at the office. So we had the internet at the office by that point in 2001. So yeah, we must have had the internet maybe a year or so before that. And I kind of started thinking about, with the internet, how can the real estate industry evolve with the use of the internet? And so I set up my own company in 2006. So I worked there for 9 years, loved every second of it. Little independent franchise business with my old boss Paul and Dave, and they're a couple of heroes of mine. They taught me everything I know, but the internet came along, and how could we use the internet to make the real estate process more efficient? Was kind of how I felt about it, and so in 2006, I set up a company called Hatched, as in break out of your shell.
Yeah.
Um, that was the second online
Lovely name,
estate agent.
actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Lovely
yeah.
name. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, we had lots of different variations, but we landed on that one, and so we set that up. That we were the second online estate agent in the UK back in 2006. And then we grew that, and so I was the founder of that business with another couple of guys, and we ran that. We were listing 240 a month. We were growing very, very quickly, organically. No money spent, no investor money taken. Um, and so we did that for a while. It became really difficult because our costs kept going up, and we were having to hire staff, hand over fist. It was we were spending a lot. We were banking 100,000 a month, and we were spending 101,000 a month. It was kind of it was tough times, and
yeah,
eventually Purple Bricks came along in 2014. They really disrupted the market because they had millions of pounds worth of investors funds, um, and then we decided to sell the business to the Connells Group because we just couldn't compete with Purple Bricks. So Connells Group are the largest property services group in the UK. And so it was the first acquisition of its kind anywhere certainly in the UK and probably in the world, we think, where a bricks and mortar real estate company acquired an online cloud-based company. So that was 2015. So 10 years ago. Jesus, I can't believe it's literally 10 years ago next month. So that's crazy to think that. But I stayed there for about 18 months. Didn't enjoy it. Corporate world was tough for me. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't work in structure. I can't work in lines. And so that was fine. We left very mutually. I know all the guys at Connell still, massive respect for them, learned a huge amount, and hopefully they learned a bit from me as well. Um,
yeah.
and then I did a couple of disastrous jobs, and then EXP came kind of knocking the door on 2019 and said, do you fancy doing this American model in the UK? And I said, no chance, no way is that going to work. An American model in the UK, no chance. And so I mean, ironically, we did drop the Americanisms. The word. We don't use the words real estate in the UK, as you'll know, Sam, and we don't have
Yeah.
brokerages, we don't have licensing. So we dropped all of those words on the agreement with Glenn Sanford and a guy called Jason Gessing, who was the CEO at the time, and I insisted on experienced agents only. So we'd had other American companies come to the UK, and they just allowed anyone to join. Anyone with it that could fog a mirror. And for me, that was not the right way to build a business that is already filled with skepticism around it. New businesses in any market are, the population, whichever population you're aiming at, whichever audience you're aiming at, is skeptical about that model. And so we wanted to make it British, with British values, British culture, British language, British systems, and a bit of British humour maybe from me, and but also experienced agents to make sure that it worked, and that experienced agents, working with people who already know what they're doing was crucial for us. because it it showed us social proof. It showed us, it showed the other people who were watching that it could work. This model could work in the UK. This American model could work in the UK. And so, yeah, fast forward to today, and the UK is, we're the largest real estate brokerage brand in the UK, the fastest organically grown in the history of the UK, without any above the line marketing spend. And it kind of goes to show what you can do when you have a really powerful model and a really hardworking group of agents who want to collaborate and want to work together. And yeah, it's crazy really when you think about it. And so a year ago there was some leadership changes in EXP, about 15 months ago. And so as a result, Felix, who you had last week, Glenn Sanford, the founder, asked me if I would sort of head up the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East, India, Africa, just to, have somebody sort of in the same kind of time zone. And although all these roles will evolve over time, I'm sure, but that was kind of like, you have that region, and then we'll get someone for APAC, someone for CALA, someone for, we've got North America already covered, obviously. And that was, that was just over a year ago now. So, it's been a fascinating ride. We've implemented a lot of stuff across international that we had in the UK. So things like the experienced agents, we really only want to work with people who have got that history, credibility, in the industry, in their local markets. Just some various stuff that we've adopted across international from the UK sort of initial scope out. So that's been fun. And then what excites me is what I said kind of at the top. Money used to motivate me. I I learned very early on actually that somebody told me that money follows success. So when I
Absolutely.
was when I was a youngster, when I first started out on being an entrepreneur, I used to chase the money. And then when somebody said this to me really early on, maybe in as early as 2006, 7, my mindset shifted to success, to achieving success. So what did success look like to me? It meant, for me personally, it meant making a mark in the world somehow, helping other people. Um, but I never really was able to put that into words or contextualize that 20 years ago. It's only in the last 6 years since being with EXP, genuinely, that I've now realized that helping people is what it's all about. If you can help someone to achieve what they want to achieve, then that for me is success. That is my success. And then money will follow success. But I say it's not the be all and end all, I think. And if anyone's on this call, you know, only working for money, only wanting the money, I think try and change your mindset to aiming for success and aiming to help other people, because money will then flow from that. I'm absolutely convinced of that
Brilliant.
now, and
Brilliant.
the last 6 years has kind of proven that to me.
Wonderful. Very well said. And I actually, what you've done in the UK is phenomenal. And considering that, we don't spend money on corner high street stores. I was in the UK until, less than 10 hours ago or 14 hours ago, I'd say. And it's amazing that you have all the top brands having corner stores paying expensive, astronomical rentals. The lease rentals are high, and they may have the listings there, but the world's moving in a different direction. It's they move it towards cloud technology, move it towards listings that are available online, and I think very soon they will also move our way. They will follow the leader. In this case, we are the leaders today. So it's completely understandable that the guy who's actually buying knows EXP. That's critical,
Yeah,
and he may not go into a offline store, but actually come online and work with us. One of the things which I want to talk about, and this probably I would have asked later, but since we're talking about this opportunity, um, it's surprising that in the UK, while you don't have the MLS, and that's something more North America-ish, if I may say, and the rest of the world is slowly creeping in and getting into the MLS. And because of my insights on MLS, thanks to uh, the IMLS forum that I'm on the advisory board of, what I see is that despite UK not having the MLS, um, exclusive mandates are something that you've worked really hard upon. I know in the UK you've almost got, I think, if I'm not wrong, 98 or 99% of the mandates or the listings are exclusive, which is phenomenal. And we're moving in that direction from 1st of January. We will be only working on exclusive listings, and I'm sure a lot of my team members here, our colleagues who are in EXP or and those who are not in EXP would want to know, how do we get into exclusive listings? Why do we want exclusive listings? Because we're still, um, you know, at least 3 months away from making that happen. We're doing, slow changes. We've said that, we'll allow a non-exclusive listing to be put on the portal only if there is also an exclusive listing with it. So, 50-50 ratio, and slowly
Yeah.
nudging people towards it. So how did you do it, and how does UK do it? And despite not having MLS, how is it progressing so well? Some thoughts on that, some insights.
Yeah, it's a great question. And 6 years ago when I started with EXP I mean, so exclusive listings in the UK has always been a thing. And I'll go into why in a bit, but it's been fascinating to me the last 6 years where uh, just learning about all these different countries. I never knew that in Spain, 78% of properties were open listings. And we're again in Spain, they're changing that as well. To your point, Sam, there, Jose Antonio in Spain is now starting to really insist on exclusive listings, certainly pushing towards that and the benefits of such. But um, I think when you realize how the UK works, there is no buyer side in the UK. Um, the portals have made it. Well, tell a lie. Back in the day, 20 years ago, there was kind of an undertone of buyer side. It wasn't really that prolific, prominent. It was kind of there. If you introduced a buyer, you could split the commission with the agent, right? And that was, we were charging 2% at the time. So 1.75, 2% was what I charged when I was working back in 1997. Um, the portals came along, and the portals are on every country. And I'm not knocking the portals at all. They're part of the marketing mix. But what the portals did is they leveled the playing field for every agent, because every agent was able to say, we're on Rightmove, just like they are. I was part of the biggest estate agency in my hometown, and Stevens, who were a small outfit, were able to then turn around in 2004-5 and say, well, we're on Rightmove just like they are. And Rightmove had become so dominant. And so exclusive listing. So what happened then is that the agent, the consumer, I should say, was judging the agent on well, you could only sell the property because everything appeared on Rightmove, so there was no buyer side. There was no possibility of, if you had a buyer and you phoned up Stevens and said, I've got a buyer, they'd say, oh, well, they'll find it on Rightmove. We don't want to split our commission. They'll find it on Rightmove, because we knew that buyers were searching Rightmove. So it completely eradicated buyer side transactions. And what happened then is that it was all about getting the listing. The listing was the lifeblood of your business. If you didn't get the listing, you ain't selling houses. Simple as that. And so therefore, with the listing being so valuable, you could have gone one of two ways. You could have gone, okay, well, we'll just take the listing on an open listing. But actually what we did in the UK was we said, no, we if we're going to work for peanuts, i.e. 1%, which is what we're working for in the UK, we need to have exclusive. We need to know that we've got a chance of selling that. And as Leo Pereira, our CEO at EXP says, he says, everything's a maths problem. And he's absolutely right, because if you're selling, in the UK, we'll sell 60 to 70% of exclusive listings, whereas we'll only sell 20% of what we call multiple listings. We call them multiple in the UK, not open.
Non-exclusive is multiples, right?
Non-exclusive is multiple, yeah. So
Yeah.
20% compared to 70%. I know which one I want. I'm not gonna bother working for 20% because I've got to list 5 just to get one commission. There's just no point in increasing my workload, increasing the clients moaning at me, the chances of the clients moaning at me, when I could go and find one person who is serious, who's actually going to pay me some money, who's got a 7 out of 10 chance of selling. It didn't make any mathematical sense to be accepting open listings, or non-exclusive listings or multiple listings when the stats were just against you, completely stacked against you. The facts and figures were. So Yeah, when we've done that in the UK now for a long time, and exclusive listings are pretty much like you say, 98, 90%, 99% of properties. We get very, very few open listings. I mean, hardly any. It's just there's just no point for the agent because A, the customer's probably less serious. I mean, some people will say that the customer's more serious because they're listing with two agents. But actually, the reason they've had to list with two agents is because they put the price up too high in the first place. So they're probably not serious and not motivated. And so they're just using another agent rather than actually getting to the root cause of why their house hasn't sold, which is probably the price. They're just making an excuse of giving it to another agent. So anyone who's on with more than one agent, I'm very suspicious of their motivations and whether they're actually motivated to sell. Um,
True.
so yeah, but the stats are stacked in your favor if they're exclusive, no question. And that's the same the world over, right? In Spain, your chance of selling an exclusive listing are over 50%, not quite as high as the UK, 70%, but over 50%. Open listings, it's like less than 10%. There's just no point in listing properties in Spain on an open mandate. Just isn't any point because you've got to list 10 just to sell one. I just don't see the maths don't work.
Absolutely. Even in India, the same story, and therefore we slowly getting out of multiple or open listings, as you call them. Either way. So
And I
great.
think I think Sam, it's an easy sales pitch to the client, isn't it? The client, you can say to the client, look, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to give you my utmost attention. You're not going to get bombarded by dozens and dozens of different people. If you do start getting calls from other agents, pass them over to me. I'll happily deal with them. Um, and you've got one point of contact. I think that's, it's a fundamental service level that if I'm booking anything, I want one point of contact for anything that I'm doing. I don't want to be passed from
Absolutely.
pillar to post and deal with dozens of different people. It's just ridiculous.
Absolutely right. And is it more difficult to sell the exclusive listing? Because somebody asked me that question, and my thought was, I told them it's tougher to get an exclusive listing versus a non-exclusive listing, but it's easier to sell an exclusive listing than a non-exclusive listing. What do you say to
100%,
that?
100% right. What you just said, yeah, it's tougher to get exclusive listings. It is, no question, because you're up against in the UK, you're up against two or three different agents in the living room, and you're all vying for that listing, that exclusive listing. Um, and but it's how look, we're all salespeople, and there's a pro and a con to every scenario. There's a pro and a con to having exclusive, a pro and a con to having open, but you've got to have a more convincing pro to the exclusive, knowing that the stats are in your favor. I mean, you can even roll out the stat that did you realize that 70% of exclusive listings sell, whereas only 20% of the non-exclusive listings sell. So, what the customer wants to sell their house. They want to move. That's their ultimate goal. So
Absolutely.
of course, they
Absolutely.
want to have the figures stacked in their favor. And so, yeah, you're right. It's harder to get them, but easier to sell them because that client is more committed to you and taking your advice than having loads and loads of different pieces of advice coming at them from different people that are maybe conflicting. And they're thinking, oh my God, I'll just know I'm not going to bother selling it. I'm just going to take it off the market kind of thing. Um, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there are enough agents in the market who would say, "Hey, you know what? That guy's getting you a lousy price. I'll get you a better price," and therefore stump the guy from selling. If it is a multiple listing. On the other hand, if you have one, then he has your ear, you have his ear, and you have a partnership actually to sell the house.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it's those multiple
Fantastic.
voices that can make you
Um,
doubt your decision. So yeah, having a single
so,
voice is really powerful.
Adam, are you there? Have I lost you?
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. I'm still here. I don't know if it's you, Sam. Can can anyone comment and say whether they can hear me or Sam? Who can you hear? I've got no comments. Maybe it's we can hear Adam, but we can't hear Sam. But can you hear Sam? It's only Adam. Oh. Well, look, it looks like it's the Adam Day show. um, Sam's back. I think Sam's back. There he
Oh,
is. He's back. I thought I was
something
gonna have to I thought I was gonna have to host on my own there, Sam, for a second.
Something happened. I don't know what happened, but I'll have to I'll have to get the screen back. I think I've lost the screen.
Okay, no
Allow
worries.
me. Let me just try and get it back.
No problem. So while Sam's getting that back, does anyone want to put in the comments what you'd like us to talk about or any questions you might have for the last 10, 15 minutes? If you think of any questions now, then feel free to put them in. Or if you want to hear anything specific about, what we just talked about, exclusive listings or anything else in the marketplace, then just pop it in the chat, and we'll be happy to talk about it and maybe help out with a few other folk and a few other answers here. I'm hoping to be over in India again at some point early next year. That would be my plan. So hopefully, give us some names of some cities that you'd want us to be in, and hopefully February, March, maybe something like that. We'll try and get over to India. So I think we're back though. I think Sam is back.
Hey, sorry guys. This is the hotel. So I have to tell you this. I'm having this unique experience doing these live podcasts. The last one that I did was in the IT city. Felix was there. It was the IT city of India, which is Bangalore. So I got internet at the hotel, which is a top hotel, mind you, ITC Gardenia, top hotel of Bangalore. I got internet connection with them sitting 45 minutes before at 2 minutes to 7. The podcast starts at 7. So I said, there's something really wrong with this. And then today, in our in our financial capital, we were doing a roadshow in Mumbai, and I'm in Mumbai, and I had the opportunity to leave 2 hours instead of an hour before because I wanted to come back and not have the same kind of issue. Believe it or not, I reached here 3 minutes before to my hotel because there was so much of traffic, and the guy took me from different routes which I've never seen in Mumbai. And I promised to tip the Uber heavily. I said, "Don't worry, you make me reach 5 minutes before, and you've got this huge tip coming to you. I'll punch it in once I've finished my podcast." So he's going to get a large tip, but this is what it is. So today's been, or this period has been a lot of fun. So coming back, Adam, things you do to make a living. It's really racy, adventurous, exciting. I'm loving this whole live show. In fact, Felix was surprised. He says, "You're doing a live show. You've got to be gutsy about it." But you know
Yeah.
what? I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. And people know, there can be good things that happen to you or bad things, but whatever's live is actually as honest and brutally honest and truthful as possible. So I'm glad we're doing this way. So the next, Adam, you've built EXP UK uh, into the biggest market in Europe, Middle East, and Asia under EXP International. You're the number one player. Right? I'll say Europe, Middle East, and Asia. You are obviously the king of all the countries. You've done really good. So coming back again, what are the key drivers of that success? What's your secret sauce? How did you do it? What do you tell all the country leaders, including myself? What do we need to do to make
Oh, I think we've lost Sam again, have we? Can anyone hear Sam, or is it just me again? I think I got the gist of his question. If someone can just Adam only. Okay, well look, I'm gonna answer that question anyway. So while Sam's coming back, um, so I think it's really important that you understand the model, and what it can do for you and for other people. And again, it's about the helping people that for me is the most important thing. Is going out there and how can I help you? How can I help you to sell more real estate? And I think those are really important, a really important mindset to have. This Sam again.
I'm so sorry. This is
We might have to
something's going
we might have to dodge the PDF Sam, 'cause it might be that's
Yeah, it's
reducing the
possible.
bandwidth possibly. But
Yeah.
I was just going to answer your question anyway, because I think
Okay.
I got the gist of it. So if you want to try and get that back up, then feel free. But I'll carry on talking. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. For me, the most important thing was having experienced agents. Working with people who know what they're talking about, who can give you that sort of initial bounce in credibility. It's something we've been talking about a lot over the last 12 months is working with experienced people. But I think, more than that, actually, I think the more people that understand the model, the better, and the more accessible that we are as leaders, myself, Sam, and everyone else around the world. And this is a good example of that. I don't remember a podcast being done in India or many other countries prior to a year ago. There may have been a few here and there, but having that accessibility, um, Glenn Sanford wanders around EXPCon Miami, and he doesn't need to. This guy's a billionaire, depending on what day of the week it is and what the share is at. But this guy doesn't need to be walking around EXP Miami, but he's super accessible. I think it was interesting that, again, I don't want to be patting myself on the back here too much, but I came to India last year or earlier this year. When was it? February? I can't remember now. February, I think it was. And that was the first time anyone from EXP corporate had put their feet on the soil in India, which is really quite sad actually, that we'd not put the time and effort in to come to such a beautiful country, but also such a big opportunity. And so hopefully those lessons that I've learned from America of being accessible and being visible and being present, as it were, hopefully we're seeing that from myself and also then into people like Sam and various others. I know Jose Antonio, for example, in Spain. I keep picking on Spain, but Jose Antonio is out and about all the time, and just like Sam's been out and about on roadshows the last few weeks. That's kind of one of the things that I think is really key. And the more we can get out and see you in person, the more we can help you to bring other agents into the business. But it really starts with you understanding the recruitment element of it and the revenue share element of it. And that's one thing that I would urge you all to take away, is that this is not something we sell to people when they join, the revenue share element, but it's something you should be looking at after you've joined. You should be going off and consuming the videos that Brent Gover's done or that I've done or whoever has done about revenue share, Rich Tomasini and various others across the pond, about how you can build a reoccurring residual lifetime income from helping others to succeed. I mean, there's no better way to earn your money than helping others. Like, there's literally no better way. And that's what I found over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think actually Indian culture, probably more than any, having been there, and I've been to every country around Europe now, I think Indian culture probably is more uh, aligned with helping others than any other culture I've been to, genuinely. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on here on this podcast, but when I came over to India, no one could help me enough. I was getting gifts everywhere I went. There was a gift, arriving, which I've never experienced before in my life. So that giving nature of the Indian culture, from what I saw, means that you guys could be absolutely brilliant at this revenue share thing if only you put your eyes on it, if only you understood it and learnt it and consumed it and soaked it up and were driven by it and were obsessed with it. Be obsessed with revenue share, because you guys are, in my opinion, the most humble, giving people that I've met in my travels. I've been to every country in my region now, apart from one, I think, apart from Poland and Israel. But other than that, I've been everywhere, and you guys are definitely the most giving, the most humble, the most, which is exactly what revenue share is all about, 100%. So I
Very well said,
really
Adam.
endorse that.
Outstanding. No, beautifully said, and so well recognized, I have to say. Beautiful. Um, in the interest of time, Adam, I'm going to ask you a few questions which are, more directly relevant to, what you've done. So, firstly, the UK breakthrough. You're the fastest growing EXP market in Europe. You've brought in hundreds of onboarded agents. Probably, I think you have about 800 of them. Um, and of course, you are the foundation of Europe, Asia, and Middle East. Um, what kind of growth or what kind of culture did you have to imbibe within your agents and your team to make this happen?
Collaboration, not competition. That was really,
Collaboration, not competition. I
yeah.
love that. I love that. You've underlined what we've been speaking about, but so beautifully said in
Yeah.
simple words. But go ahead.
And I think just very quickly, because I am conscious of time, but the equity at EXP World Holdings is what binded everyone together. It's what created collaboration rather than competition. Because when you realize that, and one of the very, very, very first thing that I did when I started as head of EMEA in September last year was I made sure that we put the agent equity program back in the ICA. So it was an opt-in in the ICA. Now, prior to my starting, it was just
Yeah.
this thing in international that no one really knew about, and we were only getting like 8, 9, 10% of opt-ins of agents opting in. Since we've added that into the ICA, we're now up to like 35, 40% of agents opting in. And the important thing there is we're not trying to get agents to opt in to pay them less commission or for whatever reason people are skeptical of. We want them to opt in because then when they realize they're business partners with me and with you and with Glenn Sanford and with everybody, you start going, okay, I want that person to be successful. I want my neighbor to be successful, because if my neighbor's successful, it affects the share price, positively, which then affects my retirement positively. Potentially, might not work out that way. You've got share prices go up and down, and it could end up at zero, etc. But if we all understand that we're all shareholders and therefore all partners, it's not, it's not the Sam Chopra show. It's not the Adam Day show. We're all going to be, hopefully, all of us will be sitting on a beach in Portugal one day, sipping on pina coladas and
Absolutely.
with all the agents. It's not just me that's going to be doing that, or you, Sam, because we've got the fancy titles. It's going to be all the agents with us as well, and that's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Pina coladas. Let's let's go and run for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so the next is, one thing you highlight is how EXP turns agents into entrepreneurs. Uh, on the entrepreneur side, could you share how personal branding has transformed growth in UK and Europe, and why it matters for India? India, we're traditionally shy people. We're not as much in social media. People think it's social media is for fun. People think it's social media is for the youngsters, and I completely think otherwise. But your thought, whether it's for business and whether it's for youngsters or not, could you highlight that and why it's worked for you in UK and Europe, and how can it work for us in India?
Yeah, I think when we started in the UK, there was no such thing as a personal branded estate agency business, and we went about it as first name surname powered by EXP. So Adam Day powered by EXP, Sam Chopra powered by EXP, and so on and so forth. And what that then, I guess, subconsciously forced, we didn't force it, but subconsciously forced, where, you had Aaron Tonks powered by EXP, and he all of a sudden, it's his name in lights. It's his name front and center. It's his business. It's clearly his business. The consumer loves the idea of supporting local business people, local entrepreneurs, and, you know, they love the idea of supporting that individual. And so when Aaron Tonks then he put his face on the board, which again is very alien to us in the UK. Putting his face on the board, very unusual. But we kind of encouraged it. We liked the idea of it. And all of a sudden, when his face was on the board, he was then less scared about going on social media. Social media, I can guarantee you, has been the number one way that agents have built their business in the UK. No question, get the right audience, which is your friends and family typically on social media, but also some followers in your local areas. Give them content they want to consume, interesting, factual, opinionated content that's not political or religious, but other, factual and opinionated stuff. This is the best road in my area. This is the best house in my area. That kind of related content. And if you guys are anything like the Brits, the second most popular thing to talk about in the UK is the housing market. The most important thing is the weather, because the weather's so changeable here. But after the weather, the housing market is the most popular thing to talk about. And I would bet you any money that in most countries around the world, the housing market is in the top three things to talk about. Um, so if you're talking about the housing market, you're going to get audience, you're going to get eyeballs, you're going to get people looking at your content and consuming it, whether they're young, middle-aged, or old, and they're going to start to know you, firstly. They're going to start to like you, secondly, and then third most important thing, once they know you and like you, they trust you. Know, like, and trust. That's all you got to do, is get them to know, like, and trust you. The only way you're going to get to know them to know you, is by putting yourself out there. They're going to like you because you're constantly out there and you're giving them thoughts and ideas and content and opinion that they relate to, or maybe they disagree with, but they still like you. And as soon as someone knows you and likes you, then they start to trust you as well. So it's vital, vital. Just one other point there. Think about hunting and farming. So,
Absolutely.
you're either hunting or you're farming. When you're a salesperson, you're lead generating, you're either hunting or you're farming. Hunting is when you go out there and you shoot to kill, right? It's the letters, it's the door knocks, it's the cold calling, Farming, now that's a one-off kill, just like any other hunter. It's a one-off kill, and that's fine because you get to eat. But farming, imagine you have land and you sow your crops and then you get a harvest every single year. That's what social media is. Social media is your farm. So don't forget the farm. Go do hunting, but farm as well. I think it's really important to understand that both will get results, but farming will get you longer term results.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the interest of time, I'm gonna, just give you one news. We today one of our agents, this is Hiren Trivedi. I don't know if he's there today, but he put up a post on Twitter, if I'm not wrong. One of my team members mentioned that he says, in Pune, we've cracked one resale deal today at Marble Freya, which is an exclusive mandate with us. We took the mandate just 20 days before, and meeting place was our Regus office. Your vision, our execution. So he's actually, you know, given a favorable testimonial to the entire team at EXP India for having put him onto exclusive mandate. So there you
Amazing.
go. I think we're moving in that direction. But in the interest of time, I'm gonna take this opportunity to let others ask some questions, maybe two or three questions at best. If you can put them in the Q&A or in the chat session, then I can actually, or Adam could read them, and we can ask you. He's got a hard stop, so being mindful of that, maybe maximum two or three short questions. If you could just put them, we'll talk about that immediately
So
and close this session, if that's okay.
whilst there's others possibly typing, there was a question here from Rick when your internet crashed. Adam, what's been your experience? What has your experience been with India expansions? Historically, none whatsoever is the true answer. Obviously, I inherited India with in September last year, and obviously Shashank was the country leader at the time, and we love Shashank and everything that he did, and I had a really good relationship with Shashank, and I think that for me and my methods of experienced agents was really important. And obviously, I was introduced to Sam, um, and so Shashank is now an agent with us, and we're delighted that he is an agent with us, and we felt it was a good time, all parties, for Sam to sort of step in and take us on to the next level. And so that's exactly what he's doing. And I think with with the back, me and Sam were very aligned, very, very aligned with how we felt we could build the business and how Sam felt he could build the business. And I'm just there as a bit of a support act, really. But we were very aligned on, experienced quality agents that understand real estate and are passionate about real estate, frankly. And so everything we spoke about, and when we spoke and we met, we were super aligned on what that looked like. And as I say, it was what was that, March now, wasn't it, Sam? I can't believe it's that long. But yeah, so my
Yeah,
experience of growing in India is
end of
very
March.
little, but yeah, end of March, that's it. So my experience of growing in India is very little. I think the opportunity in India is huge. I think now that we've kind of there's been a lot of resetting done, and some of you guys will have seen that, and others won't have seen that. But there's been a lot of resetting culturally. There's been a lot of resetting from operationally, how we do things and the kind of the agents that we want to work with. Things like monthly fees and stuff like that. It's a fair service for a fair monthly fee, and so we've made sure that that people appreciate that. And And so I think, as you've seen in the last couple of weeks, Sam's been out on the road, and that's because we're very comfortable now in the last month or so, just before summer. Obviously, they had the summer and everything, but we kind of reset what we wanted to reset, carry on the great work that Shashank's done as well. And it's kind of like it's now rocket launchers on. Get out there and meet agents and people and see how we can grow the business.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adam. There are two questions that we have. I think we'll quickly. Are you okay to answer those, or do you want
Yeah,
to?
sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's one on the Q&A from Ayush, which says, Adam, throughout your journey, you've not only built but also shaped the culture of the industry. Looking ahead, what do you believe will be the biggest shift in the way real estate professionals work globally in the next 5 years? Oh, that's a answer for a visionary. So there you go. All yours.
That's a good question. I mean, you can't do one of these interviews without talking about AI. AI is going to, I think it's going to change everything. I just think it's going to change everything. And as long as we're ahead of it, then we're the ones that we're part of it. And I can, guarantee you that we are all over AI. We're ahead of it. Glenn, our founder, is, all over AI. Just before this call, I'm working on a new AI platform. And some of the stuff that I'm trying to, so the UK, because we've kind of, I don't want to call it a mature business because we're not mature, we're still young, but we have a settled business. We're making profit. We're one of the few countries. There's a few countries that are, but most countries are not profitable. Understandably, they're only 2 or 3 years old. And so we are a pretty stable, let's call it a stable rather than a mature country. So we can test a lot of AI stuff in the UK with a view to then rolling it out. For me, I think that what you can help us with as agents is what can AI solve every day for you? And we will then go out and build it. And AI is going to be, I mean, it's an integral part of my life already. I am all over AI every day, and I think in 5 years' time we're going to look it's going to look completely different. But I've got some ideas of how it helps and where we can hook it in. Every country is different, and for example, I'd love to build an instant valuation, an AI tool for valuing houses that we could then give to agents, and then they could generate leads through that AI tool, and then that AI tool could maybe do automated outreach phone calls, automated social media posts to retarget that person. And there's all sorts of stuff that you could do. And that would not need a single human. It would just work in the background. All you've got to do as the agent is get the lead, get the prospective client to fill in their details on a form, through marketing that form. And then AI could take care of the rest. So, and that's just, that's a tiny little example of what could be done with AI. But yeah, it's going to change everything, I think.
Thank you. And I'm just going to read out the next two questions. You just want to, and we'll wrap it up with that. One of them from Anil is primary and secondary market. How do you balance in terms of closings? And the second is, please give a few rips. I presume it's tips for a successful pitch and closure. That might be a very tall order, but we can do that offline some other time. It's from
Yeah,
anonymous attendee. So
the
we'll
primary and
probably.
secondary, I'll probably kick back to you, Sam, because obviously that's an Indian marketplace, isn't it? We don't really have that in the UK. It's kind of a very specific to India, that primary and secondary, from what I understand.
Yeah, and in the interest of time, I'll speak to Anil. Anil's on my hot dial, so I'll speak to him and I'll answer that question for him. Don't worry about that. So, in the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do is I'd like to firstly thank you for this, uh, for coming in and actually hearing out Adam and myself. I know that there are questions on, how can AI help in real estate, etc. These are long questions. Let's keep it for another day. Just to let you know that you have two QR codes. On the left, there's a QR code, which is my personal QR code, which gives you my LinkedIn, which gives you my Meta and my email ID. You're most welcome to send me any question, even if it's for Adam. I'll be happy to filter it and send it to him and ask him, request him for an answer to that. We'll send that to you. On the right, and of course, follow Adam on Insta. He does some great stuff. So, you'd get to know more about him. You'd get to know more about the EMEA region that he's running. And on the right is the QR code of EXP India. And with that, you'd be able to, um, uh, go to the video on EXP Explained, which will have more details on what we do, how we do, and we've spoken about EXP, what we've done in the past, what we're doing now, etc. So you'll be able to get that, as well as there is our marketing deck on what we're doing in terms of the EXP Explained as well. So you'd be able to go through, peruse that. You still have questions. My email ID is there on the left side QR. Uh, Please feel free to call us up and speak to us. So, but thanks again. I think this has been an absolute pleasure, Adam. Any closing notes and ideas, thoughts from your end, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on first of all, and I say I thoroughly enjoyed my trip to India back in February to meet a lot of you guys, and there's names on there I recommend. I'm so bad with names. I recognize faces, but names I'm terrible with. But I know I met quite a
Well,
few
we're
of you,
going to
so
see you very shortly, I'm sure. We'll see you this year before the year's over. I'm sure you'll come back and
yeah, maybe
some
February
time.
again. Maybe February.
Maybe
I'm trying
February.
to. It depends on
Okay.
the South Africa event, but yeah, look, I love coming out there, and it was a shame it was only a couple. It was literally only 2 days, wasn't it? It was a
Yeah.
bit of a. We were running fast that couple of days, weren't we? It was here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, no, look, I
We're
mean,
hoping to do, just to let you know, we're hoping to do a national convention the moment we hit 500 agents,
awesome.
500 business partners, and we'll do a national convention. So let's everybody put together our efforts to build a team of 500 business partners. And maybe that's when Adam will actually make the effort of coming in as well. So let's try and do it
Absolutely,
in February if he's saying it's February.
yeah, and this is the thing, Ryan. I guess this would be a nice final message as well. I remember standing in America and the UK just started, and a guy called Dave Connaught, who's still with EXP, he was the president. And I remember him standing on stage. He said, just go and talk to two of your friends in real estate. That's all you got to do. Two of your friends in real estate and invite them over to talk to EXP, invite them into how EXP works, show them the model because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You genuinely can't. And so all of you guys on this call, we've had 45 at the peak. We've got 35 now, so I've lost a couple, but probably sure everyone's got to get off to appointments. But if you all talk to two people, if every single agent in India talked to two people, we'd grow by 200%, and then we would be closer
Yeah.
to that national convention. And I just think that you have to tell people the model exists. You can't just expect them to look for the model themselves and for them to come and find it. You've got to go and tell them about it because you guys are all here for the same reason, which is you've seen the model, you understand how it works, you know the opportunities that are there, but you've got to go out and tell people. And if you're not sure about revenue share and how it works, then it's one of my favorite subjects because I've seen how many lives it's changed in the UK. One of my first agents in the UK last week texted me with a screenshot of him having just reached 200 agents in his revenue share group, and it's a massive milestone in the UK. And we're a small country when you look at us compared to you guys, and so there's such a huge opportunity. And that guy's 34 and he's retired now. He's 34. He's got 200 agents. He's retired more or less. He certainly took last year off because he could. He's back in. He couldn't take time off. But so the opportunity out there when we're still, relatively young in India, and we've done a lot of resetting and we're rebuilding, and relaunching. And I think that's a massive opportunity for all of you guys on the call and everyone in India at the moment. So go out, talk to
Absolutely.
people, share the model, and collaborate and try not to compete.
Yeah, and Adam, you know that Tom Turong was on my show, about 4 episodes ago, and he told me that he had only 83 people under him. 83. His downline was 83. However, their downline in turn, and totaling all of them became 1,400. And he said while he pays $85 per month as his fee, he earns over $50,000 per month through the revenue share. So
It's crazy.
I'm not saying everybody can do it, but that's an opportunity that you can
Yeah.
have should you be able to build a large downline. That's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree more. And that's why it's so important to target and go after and speak to the best agents in your local market. And look, don't go after the people who have never done it before. Go and speak to the best agents, and they'll see it. They'll see it. But yeah, look, good luck, and hopefully, as I say, I'll be over in the new year, and look forward to seeing you all then, hopefully.
Absolutely. Thanks, Adam. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you, everybody, for being there with us. We've lost a couple of guys in between, but thank you, guys. Good to see you all. And have a nice rest of the day, Adam. Okay.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, everyone. See ya. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.